Welcome to our Sanoh UK Health and Safety instructional video. All of us at Sanoh UK benefit from the proper observation of health and safety rules and policies. This video aims to illustrate how, why and where we should observe correct practice in all aspects of health and safety at work. The rules and policies are in place to protect us all, but if you are in any situation where you are not sure, please ask. Please take the time to view these instructions and ensure you apply them in your everyday working role.
Health and safety at work should be everyone's number one priority in whatever role they carry out within Sanoh UK. Today we're going to focus on the following key areas. Correct usage of uniform and PPE, personal protective equipment. This includes ear protection, eye protection, foot protection, bump caps and high visibility clothing. Manual handling, the correct way to lift and carry objects. Machine guarding in the workplace. Vehicle movements in and around the factories and offices, including forklift trucks. Correct practices on the shop floor. Fire procedure. Let's start with our uniform and PPE policy. All Sanoh employees are issued with workwear at the start of their employment with Sanoh UK. Once issued, you should wear your workwear at all times when you are on the premises. If you are issued with PPE, this should be worn in the appropriate areas of the factories or offices. High visibility clothing must be worn in stores, dispatch and lorry loading or unloading areas and when walking between buildings. Ear protection is required where the ear protection sign is displayed. In the case of engineering or maintenance areas, as required when the noise level increases. Eye protection should be worn in the engineering and maintenance areas. Generally, it is not required on the shop floor unless you see the eye protection sign. Safety shoes should always be worn by those working directly on the shop floor and in the maintenance and engineering departments. Bump caps should be worn where the bump cap sign is displayed when working inside machines. Gloves should be worn on all the oven operations and assembly processes, or at the discretion of the supervisor. Gloves must not be worn when operating milling or turning machines. Manual handling. One of the biggest causes of workplace absence is musculoskeletal disorders. That means back pain, neck pain, and strain injuries. We need to minimize the risk of you injuring yourself in the course of your duties. Safe manual handling procedures involve planning the lift, ensuring a stable shoulder width stance, bending at the knees while keeping the back straight, and holding the load close to the waist. Essential techniques include lifting with your legs, avoiding twisting, and using mechanical aids where possible to prevent musculoskeletal injuries. Here is an example of the correct procedure to follow when lifting objects such as boxes, equipment, or in our case, tubes and parts. And here is an example of how not to lift a heavy object. Please follow the correct advice when in your daily activities. Machine guarding. When operating machinery, whether in the maintenance department, in the engineering centre, or on the shop floor, it is vital that we minimise any risks of employees coming into contact with working machinery. The consequences of ignoring these rules could lead to serious injury, which we wish to avoid at all costs. We therefore provide guarding on all machines, which must be in place at all times. On the shop floor, all employees are protected by light guards on machines. These guards will stop the machine if the light beam is broken and are in place to prevent hands or body parts from reaching, slipping or stumbling into hazardous moving parts. In the robot cells, there are interlocking guards which will shut off the machine if access doors are opened. In the engineering centre, our machinery has physical guards associated with each mill or lathe. These must be used at all times when the machines are running. On all machinery you will find emergency stop buttons, all of which are easily accessible and identifiable. Vehicle movements. When moving around between buildings, it is essential that high visibility clothing should be worn. At any time of the day we can have vehicles moving around our sites. These could be delivery or collection lorries, visitors' vehicles, our own electric delivery vehicle and forklift trucks. Please take time to familiarise yourself with the yellow hashed areas in the car parks and loading areas. These should never be entered when vehicles are moving within the area. When moving between sites, please follow the yellow marked pathway to avoid any moving traffic. When forklift trucks are present, make sure you make eye contact with the driver to ensure that they know you are present. Only cross behind or in front of a forklift truck when the forklift has stopped and the driver has acknowledged you and has indicated that you can cross. When loading or unloading of trucks is taking place, the driver should remain in his or her cab at all times. No one should be present in the area when loading or unloading is taking place. Correct practice on the shop floor. At no time should you take food or drink onto the shop floor. Water bottles are permitted. These should be ideally a sports cap or a screw top bottle. We do not want to risk contaminating parts by any object spilling or falling into machinery or fixtures. There is also the risk of spilt fluid causing slip hazards. Sanoh UK is a non-smoking and non-vaping workplace. It is an offence to smoke in the workplace. Smoking areas are provided outside of each building. Fire procedure. Sanoh UK is considered at low risk of fire. However, if you discover or suspect a fire, we have clear practices to follow. Fire action notices are posted in all workplaces. Employees are required to familiarise themselves with the escape routes and their assembly points. A separate standardised procedure is published specifying duties of all those who will control evacuation, sweep the premises and liaise with the fire brigade. This may be tailored to an individual building or unit at the discretion of a director or senior manager. For instance, at Grandeur Point, the fire assembly point is in the car park opposite the factory. The fire exits are clearly marked. You should familiarise yourself with the following. A. Your means of escape, both primary and secondary. B. The nearest fire alarm point. C. The assembly point. In this case, the supervisor will ensure that all areas of the shop floor, including the toilets and canteen, are clear, and 2 managers will do the same for the offices. All other personnel should proceed to the assembly point, where relevant personnel will contact and liaise with the fire brigade. The health and safety of everyone who works at, contracts at, or visits Sanoh UK is our highest priority. It is in everyone's interest to know and to follow our rules and policies. Don't forget, if you don't know or you are unsure, stop and ask your supervisor or the health and safety manager for advice. Health and safety at work, keeping everyone safe.